The undefeated streak is over at the hands of Cambridge United. Late goals for Sheffield Wednesday and Sunderland. Season over. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Craig, I know you've been thinking on a day like today, it's probably important that Ben opens the podcast by singing. And I know you're going to be thinking that, and you probably don't want to put the pressure on me, but I'm going to do it anyway. Although we've come to the end of the road. Can you sing a harmony? And I can. Yeah. I think it's all done, isn't it, Dave?
I was just going to say, Ben, that just takes me back to early Sunday mornings on the very first podcast when you no excuse for you.
Boys to Men out of tune with no voice.
No excuse for you to break into song whatsoever. Sadly, I think so. Yesterday was after yesterday. I think it's a game or two too far, unfortunately.
Craig, it was only ever going to be one decisive round, wasn't it? We've been saying week on week, and Kieran McKenna's even been saying, we keep it alive for another week. It was only going to take the results and the chasers to all win. We'll go into it later, but the fact that two of them just happened to win in injury time as well, as Dave would say, sickener.
Yeah, I know, it's horrible. And it was either on the walk on the way back to the car or in the car itself when listening to the radio and Graham Mack was saying, and was it Sunderland? Were they the one that scored in the 95th minute, or was it Sheffield Wednesday scored in the 95th minute?
92 for Lee Gregory and Sheffield Wednesday, but yeah, Sunderland even later.
They're just not letting up, are they? And you look at the form table now, and we're down in like 8th in the form table, and the 7 teams above us are Portsmouth plus the 6-7 teams that are above us. Basically, they're just not letting up.
And Dave, nothing's changed, has it? Nothing's changed. We've lost the game, and we'll go into that in great detail. Obviously, there's a bit of a correlation with the teams that we've dropped a lot of points to this season. But This is not about what's happening now. This is about what happened earlier in the season and the impossibly fine margins that any kind of playoff push would take.
I think so. No, you are right. I mean, it was just the start. The start absolutely killed us, and we've been playing catch up ever since. And since the turn of the year, it's been a really good run. It's been a great run. What was it? 11 games undefeated until yesterday. 11-game run. I mean, again, even amongst these games, yes, it has the start that's killed us. But you look at the draw at Morecambe, the 0-0 at home to Cheltenham. Those games go the other way, and you're still sort of in there with a fighting chance, aren't you? But look, it's across the season as a whole, and bottom line is we just haven't been good enough across the season. Stark reality is across the season as a whole, have we? And the other teams above us, as you quite rightly say, have been just uber consistent. And when these teams have dropped points, they then seem to be able to go on a 3-4-5 match, like Plymouth have done recently, a 3-5 match winning streak, which we haven't quite managed to achieve.
So are we committed to this now, Craig? It's 64 points now with 5 to play, and we've been saying for weeks that potentially as low as 7th place, maybe close to 80 points. It does feel like it's the hope that kills you, but it does feel like any fleeting playoff chances are gone now, right?
Yeah. Well, the 4 teams above us have all got a game in hand on us as well, haven't they? So I appreciate some of those may be against each other, but even so, that even Wickham, who are just above us, are 5 points clear of us. So yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice just to rip that plaster off, wouldn't it, and enjoy the sunshine for the last handful of matches.
With all that being said, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button and help support the video. Oh dear, oh me!
Doom and gloom.
Oh, more doom and gloom. There we go. Right, let's get into some news. So the boys covered a lot of the news on the Wednesday live stream, so you can go back and check that out in the archives. And if you just click on the live chat button, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see everybody's comments and reactions as they were coming in, which enhances the experience somewhat, even though the narrative has moved on since midweek. Dave, I suppose the one story that didn't particularly get covered was, because it hadn't happened yet, was the new head of recruitment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Mark Ashton basically came out with, didn't name the person, but came out with it, didn't he? That said there was being, I think, at the fans
wink,
forum,
wink, nudge, nudge, wasn't there?
There'd be an imminent announcement of a new head of recruitment, and the next day is revealed as Sam Williams, again coming from a Man United connection, obviously very much a Kieran McKenna connection. I think he's been at United 5 seasons. Previously been head of academy or academy scout, head academy scout at, I think, Bolton and Sheffield Wednesday. So obviously comes with a great pedigree. And the manager, Kieran McKenna, comes out the next day and actually talks him up and says, look, he's going to be really important. It's a great signing for us. It's going to be in the backroom team. It's going to be a really important, member of staff going forward. So again, comes from a great pedigree. Can only expect good things, arising out of that.
It's difficult, Craig, for us as fans. Where a head of recruitment is concerned, we oversimplify it, don't we? It's all about who signs and how successful those signings are. But I'd imagine the remit of this hire is far, far greater, and it's about they talk about a philosophy and a culture, and it's about, I guess, having this eye across the whole of football in terms of who would fit this culture that they're trying to give. Do you see what I mean? Can you speak a bit on that remit, I guess, Craig, and your general thoughts on the hire?
Well, it's a holistic view, isn't it, of what we are as a football club, and as you say, who fits into it. And all of these guys that are coming in, not all of them, the vast majority of these guys that come in are coming in from an analytic perspective, aren't they? They've all previously been an analysis in some shape or form. The guy we got from Fulham was head analyst. This chap was an analyst. Crikey,
analyst.
Was an analyst.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. That's tricky. It certainly is when you consider the first 4 letters of the word.
Until we've come till
but what's quite interesting actually is all these people that are coming in. Crikey, we've got a real sound, quite numerous structure now. Who the bloody hell was doing these jobs before they all joined?
Leo Neal
with that hat on. No, this cap on and this hat on.
Jack of all trades.
While I stir the tea.
Craig's joking about it, Dave, but he's totally right, isn't it?
Seemingly so.
We seem to have hired about 10 people. What I wanted to just ask you about, Dave, is, and obviously we'll properly plug our excellent interview with Mark Ashton in a minute. It's almost like football's jumped the shark now, where about 5 years ago, people running football clubs were so keen to tell us that they were into data, Now Mark Ashton's going, right, we've got all the data covered, but don't worry, we're still doing the eye test. We still do real scouting, to assure us that it's not all about the data, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is key. This is key. Looking at the finance that's actually been pumped into the club now. And we said who did this job before under Evans. Well, the budget, as we know, was so constricted and so tight. Joking apart, I think Leo Neal seemingly did cover about 5 different jobs now. So, yeah, it's I think it's just a necessary. Craig said this sort of holistic, I'll try and say it now. Analytical approach is very necessary going forward, what you have now is seemingly so off the pitch is the complete package.
And now they just need to deliver on the pitch going forward.
Yes,
perhaps they can fully focus, as we were saying, on next season. Please do check out, as I already mentioned, I think it's a great accompaniment, and I would say that. But it is quite a proud moment for our podcast as well when we consider Dave and I swearing every other word and not really knowing what we were doing. And years later, we've literally got the CEO of the football club willing to speak to us. So well done to Richard, and obviously some help from Phil Ham and the media team to help us do that. And I think moreover, Craig, rather than us breaking our arm, slapping ourselves on the back here, well done to the club for actually, because we know we're not the only Ipswich Town podcast, and we know they've been keen to speak to all of the other shows, which is great, isn't it, Craig?
Yeah, exactly. And you could not, have more of a contrast to what it was previously. Not only did we not hear from the people in charge, they didn't particularly want to talk to the people, the hoi polloi, as it were. You may occasionally have heard from Leo Neal, might have given you a couple of sound bites, which actually didn't reflect on anything that was actually happening within the club, because he probably didn't know himself, poor boy.
To be fair, Ian Milne would talk to Graham on Naked Footy.
I was going to say that. Yeah. From which was it? From the Dove or from the Greyhound? with AD from the Dove. With AD from the Dove.
GB was either leaving a pub or on the way to a pub, and he won't mind me saying that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it is. It's in fact, and certainly, especially on the back of an hour and a half that he spent at the fans forum chatting away. So there was, he didn't have to. He could well within his rights to say, do you know what, guys? I have spoken for the last 90 minutes about probably similar sort of topics, but no, he, turned up the next morning and chatted for 3/4 of an hour to us and to Phil.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so go and check that out. That's done very, very well actually on YouTube. So as ever, please do head over to the Blue Monday YouTube channel, hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. And even though it seems silly, please do hit that like button, because it does help us climb up the rankings, and hopefully our videos can be seen by as many people as possible. Bit personal news for you this week, Dave?
I don't know, really. Not much going on, really. Oh, no, yeah. Thursday I became a grandfather. So, cheers, guys. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that was a proud moment. Little Rosie Diamond entered the world at.
Can I go? Dun 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 dun. Angus.
A whole lot. Yeah, exactly. She. Proud moment at £7 2 ounces.
I suspect for your daughter-in-law, it was a whole lot of Rosie for a few hours, wasn't it?
Bless them, and both Hannah and not my daughter-in-law, Jordan's partner, and Jordan, they've both been in hospital for about 3 days. During delivery, not the easiest of time, and they've both got COVID, so they're home now. But not ideal. But they're brilliant struggling through. So no, brilliant. Thanks for that.
Well, I'll say
thanks for everybody's good wishes as well.
Yeah, I know how much Dave loves receiving tweets from everybody. So should we just do it now on behalf of all of us here and on behalf of all of our listeners? Well done, Dave. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Old bugger, Grandad Diamond.
I've officially obtained old git status. Absolutely.
And can I just say, you've gone for AC/DC there, Ben. You've got a guy called Diamond here. You've got a name Rosie, and you didn't decide to couple the two.
Come on, what have you got?
I know Dave loves that song, though. No, whole lot of Rosie. Come on. It's all about AC/DC rather than me.
Yeah. I saw something in between, but I'd go with AC/DC.
Let us know on Twitter. Are you in the AC/DC camp, i.e. the right camp, or the Neil Diamond camp? I've never forgiven Neil Diamond. I was doing a radio session once when Neil Diamond was playing at Portman Road, and I was late because he snarled up the whole town with the blooming with the blooming traffic. Yeah, good old and Neil.
And there's another track. I saw GB in the pub pre-match yesterday, and
GB was in the pub, was he?
Well, funny enough, outside, Greyhound, lovely. Very cold when the sun went in, and he said, he played me a track by Rosie by Don Partridge, which I think was an early 70s track, and that's quite a nice track too. There you go.
And do head over to the Greyhound, who are our partners for the preview show each and every Friday on the pod. Speaking of partners, you know what the best thing to eat after you've been to the Greyhound is?
With wings more crisp than a James Norwood finish, ribs meatier than Sam Morsey tackle, and chicken tastier than Wes Burns, Favourite is Britain's tastiest chicken. And as a listener of the Blue Monday podcast, you can get 20% off by entering BM20 at the checkout. Order direct from their menu at chicken-ipswich.co.uk. They'll deliver anywhere within a 2.7 mile radius of the store. And if you're not quite as local as the Bond family, you can click and collect. The store is located just off Hadley Road. Favourite, Britain's tastiest tastiest chicken.
Go and get involved. Favourite chicken. Thank you, everybody, for supporting our partners on here as we endeavour to grow our silly little podcast, having spoken to the CEO during the week. Have I done enough procrastinating so we don't have to talk about this game? Should we talk about Dion Dublin and Steve Claridge and Gary Rowett, maybe, and previous John Beck and previous home games against Cambridge? No. We're going to have...
And Steve Whitten screamers with his left foot from 30 yards.
Oh, League Cup ties. Yes, of course.
I'm actually surprised, Craig. There was a 2-second gap there. I thought I'd set you up quite nicely for that one, but it's early in the morning here. Right, look. Let's get into this then. So, Kieran McKenna's solution here, Dave. Walton in goal, Danasian, Wolfen and Burgess, Burns, Thompson. So, we're quite used to this now. Wing-backs, centre-backs, all, pretty ingrained. But Morsey partnered by Carroll in central midfield. And the front three, use whatever terms you're comfortable with, Selina, Chaplin, Norwood. Thoughts on the selection, Dave? Obviously, we have the benefit of hindsight now, knowing we're going to lose the game and not score.
Yeah, again, another mention for the Greyhound. In the Greyhound at 2:00, got the team through as usual. And I mean, a slight surprise. No great surprise that he sort of tinkers with the front three. We know that's tinker. No, well, put the words to one side, that he's sort of gone with a variation of the front three. He does that most games. Midfield was a surprising one. I think we all thought that Backinson was certainly growing into that role. Thought we had a half decent game against sort of Plymouth, as all the team did the week before. So slightly surprised, and this isn't with any subsequent hindsight either. I think slightly surprised that Backinson was on the bench and Carroll started alongside Morsey.
Why do you think he did that, Dave? Do you think he thought we were? Because when I look at Carroll and I look at Backinson, I would assume Backinson, in terms of driving forward, would be a pick. I would assume you would play Carroll when maybe the midfield's going to be a bit deeper and have a bit more possession.
I think he played Carroll because he could see they were going to sit deep and felt he needed someone to, what's the phrase, pick the
circulate.
Lock. Tick the lock, perhaps. Yeah. Personally, I mean, we don't know. And he's done this. We did this with Morsey. I mean, Morsey perhaps is a special case. But yeah, he when he was injured, he was on the bench, and we know he came on against. I think it was Oxford when he came on against Oxford, having carried injury. Maybe Backinson was carrying injury, but then would he have been on the bench? There would have been other perhaps. But then Elmazuni was on the bench. Are you reading too much into that? I don't know. But that was my surprise, and that is not said with any subsequent hindsight.
Well, what do you think, Craig?
Yeah, pretty much similar. And I'd just like to point out, in terms of the formation, the way they started to set up, we weren't really playing. Well, Burns wasn't anywhere near a wing back yesterday. He was right. He was right wing. He was right up the top of the pitch. So it was very much almost a four at the back with Danasian as your right back. Albeit maybe a narrow right back, and Thompson as pretty solid left back, and then Selina was quite wide on the left, and Chaplin was very, very central, just behind Norwood. So it was sort of more of a 4-4-1-1 potentially.
Annoyingly, I've got it up on my phone. You can't get it on SofaScore on their desktop, but yeah, the average positions does seem to intimate that. Craig, that your eyes are right on that. Sorry, Dave, go on.
However, what I would say yesterday, which I don't think I had seen so far, Burns made some brilliant interceptions in a right back role, didn't he? Particularly second half when we were pushing on, superb interceptions. Probably full back sliding tackles there, which I really haven't seen him do that at all before. I mean, I know we were pushing on and he was pretty much everywhere then, but yeah, Craig's right. It was a slightly different formation though.
Well, can we just stop for a minute on that then, and play that out a little bit? So if, as I can imagine the conversation's going to go, not wanting to put words in your mouth, there's a suggestion that perhaps going forward, we might be able to commit a man, we're talking long-term next season, take a centre-half out, essentially, and still be able to survive. Maybe if you go to that sort of strategy where you have quite a deep midfielder who can help back with those numbers at the back. Do you then see a really orthodox 4-3-3 and Burns plays down the front right? Do you see a 4-2-3-1 and an extra man? I know we've a bit burned by the 4-2-3-1 formation this season, but how would you see that playing out, Craig? We have got used to the three at the back and the balance of it, but I don't know. Is it an extra forward? Is it 4-4-2 like Dave loves? Can you survive that with two central midfielders in League One?
Yeah, well, so the issue we had yesterday was that, as I said, by virtue, it did look like a four at the back to me yesterday. By virtue of that, we had Morsey and Carroll were play. It was almost a 4-2 as the start of your formation, in that Carroll and Morsey were playing deeper,
Double
and Morsey was
pivot,
playing
yeah.
a lot deeper than he does normally, or has been when he's been playing with Backinson, and having three behind him. So it sort of just put us all out of kilter, really, in terms of our attacking threat and our impetus, certainly through the middle of the pitch.
I think bar one shot, sort of snapshot, where he took a first touch and hit it quite quickly in the first half, I can't really remember Morsey getting in the box at all yesterday.
No, and he's been doing that.
Which,
recently.
yeah, I'd say it's been a feature in recent games.
Sure. Let's just, we've got to give Cambridge some credit, obviously, at some point. And I'm sure you'll pick out a player or two, maybe, but they line up with Mitov in goal, Williams, Okenda, Jones, Dunk, not that one, May, Digby, Smith, Nibs, Brophy, and Ironside up top. Do you want to take me through the first half, Dave?
Yeah, they caused us problems. I've got to say, we started sloppy, didn't we? And I think that was a feature. That was a feature right through the game. I mean, they were well organised, quite athletic, strong. Like I said, well drilled. Obviously, had a plan. That Danasian Burns partnership was really well and truly, I thought, sorted out yesterday. I can't really recall any of them getting to the line at all, where certainly the first half last week they were just doing it for fun against Plymouth. They caused us problems. They're like I said, a mobile side, quite athletic, quite strong. They always had Ironside up front, who I thought had a really good game. He gave Wolfen a tough game, tougher than I've seen for a long time. Really like the look of him, actually. Rich sort of carried himself a bit, reminded me of Stockton from Morecambe, but with a even bigger physical presence. We huffed and puffed. We never really able to get really sort of a clear-cut chance, did we, Craig? First half, not really. A couple of shots, but they closed down well. And do you know what? Fairly even. I mean, I know possession will obviously tell you differently, but certainly fairly even. And they had the ball in the net, which was offside, and a really good save from Walton from a header. Arguably, they had the better chances, but created the better chances. That's for sure.
Craig, what did they do better than other teams have done? Because obviously we've been on this unbeaten run, and Dave's been quite magnanimous there. Were we easy to stop?
We were worryingly, actually, and I think what they did do and what they were very good at, and Mick Mills sort of alluded to it after the match, is they were really solid defensively, and their shape defensively just did not alter whatsoever. Once they'd lost, and this is by virtue of us playing so slowly, is they were quick to get back, and they were quick to get into position, and they didn't move from that position, but we just played so slowly and so methodically and so pedestrian. It allowed them to do that. I can't remember an occasion whereby we got the ball forward quickly and behind their fullback, or played it through a channel. It just didn't happen. We were just so slow, and I don't think it's entirely coincidental that Tom Carroll was sitting in our central midfield, and he just took so long on the ball, didn't he? It just takes so much time to think about what he was going to do and play that pass. And as people have said in the past, he's so ridiculously one-footed that sort of half the pitch is sort of closed off to him at any one time, because he's only ever going to try and play a ball that's going to be effective from his left foot. And I think yesterday our whole performance really, certainly until the 60-something minute when he went off, just seemed to originate from him, from that axis of him and Morsey. It just didn't work. And I know we've spoken about Morsey and how whoever's playing alongside him, it seems to raise their game, doesn't it? Doesn't matter if it's Backinson or Evans. Evans looks a different player when he's playing alongside Morsey. Backinson looks a different player when he's playing alongside Morsey. It seems that whoever plays alongside Carroll, they become a different player, because they're, by virtue of them playing alongside Carroll, whether it be Backinson, whether it be Morsey. he seems to have the opposite effect on whoever's playing alongside him.
Is that fair, Dave?
It was very. It's that phrase. It was a bit tippy tappy. I've got to say, it was. Yeah, no, totally fair. They were, like I said, bang on about. They were really well organised and well drilled. But as Craig said, the pace we were playing at and moving the ball, certainly first half, it made it easy for them.
And there were a load of misplaced passes, weren't there yesterday?
Oh, terrible. And by everybody, I'd say overall, getting ahead of ourselves here. Overall, pretty much everybody yesterday was below par. Was a 6 out of 10.
Apart from Walton, probably, who kept us in it. Apart from Walton, who kept us in it.
Oh, Walton kept us in it, and I thought, to me, again, do you know what? I thought Burgess was half decent yesterday again.
There was a couple. Walton came for a couple of crosses, didn't he? A couple of corners where he had a lot of people around him, and he was there catching the corners.
No, he was. I mean, two good saves. The header in the first half, I think, was a better save than it looked. Yeah. He had to get across quite well there. I'm sorry, and the second, there was a header in the second half, but the header in the first half was a strong header, and he got good hands on that. No, he was very good, and I thought Burgess was pretty consistent throughout the game.
Craig, do you want to take me through this then in the second half? So what you've described is this, it's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? The perfect away performance. It's weird that the perfect away performance is not considered a 4-0 win. It's considered a sit in, get out, take your chance, get out of Dodge. Yeah, a job. But I prefer a 4-0 win. Not that I've seen many away 4-0 wins as an Ipswich fan in the last 100 years, but there you go. Reading. Swindon, many years ago.
Reading.
I was there actually. Reading. That's a good point. That'll be the last time, won't it? How did they manage to then parlay this frustrating us and being behind the ball into a 3-pointer? Then, Craig.
Well, they stuck a decent set piece into our box.
Yeah.
Which is something in itself, isn't it?
There's questions about that, so don't go too deep.
Yeah,
yet.
I can well imagine. I can well imagine there is. But they and as Joe said about Ironside, I can't remember if it was Ironside that Wolfenden fouled that led to the free kick that they had.
No, it wasn't. I know what I raised it. It was the left-sided player called Nibs, and tell me his nickname is his. Tell me he must be his. But yeah, that was an unnecessary. That disappointed me because he did his usual thing. Wolfenden gave Nibs the sort of the space, didn't he? But got the challenge in, had control of the ball, and they just tried to be cute with it. He could have put that in row Z and danger averted, but he tried to be cute with it, and Nibs got the challenge in, and it was a bit of a clumsy one, wasn't it? Unnecessary foul, that one, really.
Yeah, Wolfenden was a little bit off. He was a bit too. we know he's laid back. He just seemed to be a bit too laid back.
I think Ironside unsettled him. I honestly think Ironside unsettled him. He played him really well. Yeah,
he did do well yesterday.
Yeah.
So they got that free kick, down our right hand side, just outside the box. And they put in a decent cross. And to be fair, they won a lot of their headers in the box yesterday, didn't they? Even from open play and from set plays, we weren't winning any of our defensive headers, which is another concern I'd suggest. So it's a good delivery from May, I think. Diggers got the
podcast favourite.
And it was bundled home, shall we say, at the back. A combination of Ironside and Thompson, I think, who didn't have the greatest game yesterday either. He was very weak at the far post to get out muscled and. I think in the end it actually went down to him, didn't it? It went down as an own goal.
Yeah, it was an own goal. Walton wasn't too happy with him, was he?
No, he didn't. He wasn't over keen to pick him up off the floor, shall we say, after picking the ball at the back of the net. No.
Dave,
horrible goal.
So so from going 1-0 down, take me through to the end. Did we look like equalising?
There was improvement. I mean, obviously, I think he was looking to make the subs. Probably that is when he usually makes his subs. Had it even been 0-0, but fairly soon afterwards. I think 65 was it. So we had Bon. I think people just thought it'd be straight, and Bon would perhaps replace Norwood. But Norwood looked like he was jogging over to the side and going off. But then McKenna had a long chat with him, so Norwood stayed on, and it was Bon for. It was Bon for Chaplin and a Luco, or vice versa, and a Luco for Carroll.
Interestingly, the two subs that came off were the two guys that were brought in as the changes for.
Yeah, harping back, the performance was so. We don't know the sort of injury. Back into might well have been carrying a slight knock or something like that. But you know what? With hindsight, harking back to how good we were last week, I would have. Well, I think no one would have been sorry to see that team, start the same team that started against Plymouth start yesterday, really.
Well, we've been full of praise for the bespoke approach, haven't we? So yeah. But hey, it's not always the right thing to do.
No.
Sometimes you go with the hot hand, if such a thing exists.
Sorry, somebody's going on from that. Yeah, I don't know, Craig. We sort of huffed and puffed a bit after that. Did we create much? Not really. I think they sort of kept it at arm's length quite well. Then we had obviously the one half decent set piece Selena took right in the dying 92nd minute, I guess it was. I mean, I watched it back on the video and still really can't see who got a touch and who put it in, but apparently Burgess got a touch and put it in, and it looked like Aluko was on the line, so I assume it's Aluko that was offside.
Yeah, I think Aluko was pretty much standing in front of the goalie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When that first header came in, he looked offside, and I think McKenna said as well himself that.
No, I think it's a fair cop, despite the ref initially giving it, and then hang on, decided to look at the Lionos flag. I think he did get that right. My God, there would have been a linesman then. He was getting dog's abuse from behind, wasn't he, when he made that decision? Oh my goodness me!
It's one of those though where I always say this at the end of the season: the difference between 0 point and 1 point isn't actually that great deal. It's 1 point and 3 points that's there at this time of the season. Everybody wins.
Yeah, look, I think overall Cambridge, I just keep banging on about well organised.
Yeah, well played.
They probably deserved it. A point, they probably deserved it. Yeah,
they did.
Fair play to them.
Considering we were at home, we didn't create anything of note. As Dave said, we didn't create anything of note really. You could look at the XG, which doesn't even total.
What is it, Craig?
Over 0.9, I think ours was, or something like that. 0.98 maybe. So and that's by virtue of accumulation over the course of 90 minutes. It's not. There weren't, and over that there weren't really any clear-cut chances. Maybe Morsey's one was probably it, and that was a snapshot, little poke.
It's not enough, is it?
12 yards out.
Yeah, Selena had a header, did he? Yeah, Selena had a header, which he didn't really get much on, but yeah.
When Selena's having headers from 12 yards out.
yeah, we've seen that before, haven't we? Yeah, he was bit frustrating again yesterday, wasn't he?
As you said though, Dave, they all were, weren't they? Chaplin, nothing that Chaplin did came off. Nothing that Selena did came off. Morsey wasn't getting forward.
Burns was, but didn't get enough of the ball. But I'd say probably Burns and Morsey's always. But again, Morsey was even giving the ball away yesterday, which is unheard of. But I thought Burgess was solid enough at the back. He won his headers, I think, seemingly. And I mean Burns probably did okay, didn't he? But just never had the opportunity to get in those positions. But yeah, the rest it was such an Ipswich before. You're up so high and you have the fans form, you have Ashton coming on. I mean, good God, after that Ashton interview, my God, everyone's, wow, this is so uplifting, Christ, we'll go to Cambridge.
All we got to do is beat Cambridge now.
We'll roll them over and off we go. Crew, bloody hell, and that sets up Rotherham and Wigan, and oh my God, we're going to do it.
And you're doing that in front of 26,500 people.
Stop it. Dear me.
It's really absolutely mental how many people are going to watch.
Oh, it's crazy. And a good on our sort of like internal podcast chat from Chris Ram this morning. He said he'd spoken to a Cambridge fan, and I think they got it summed it up quite right that they were prepared to saw what sort of side we were, and how we played against Plymouth the week before, and they were prepared for a real battle and knew they had to be tight, knew how to be organised, and he summed it up quite well, this fan, and said they were just quite surprised at just the whole slow pace that we played at.
Speaking of our leveller, please do get involved in that. There's details and everything down on Twitter, or just give us a shout at Blue Monday ITFC. There's a free trial. It is paywalled after that, but there's loads of people in there. Great Ipswich chat. We're all in there, and I have to say, pretty much great Ipswich chat throughout the day. We know a lot of you love to talk Ipswich all the time. Come and join us over at Leveller now. The reason, apart from that, I'm just a bit irritating that I've been singing End of the Road is this. So Rotherham are playing in the Pizza Cup today, so good luck to them. Wigan drew with Bolton earlier in the day. Fine, they're miles in the distance. MK actually are now 1 point behind. And I think they possibly play ahead of... I think there's a possibility Rotherham may not even... I haven't checked the fixtures, may not even be in the top two. Now, we knew that one of Plymouth or Oxford were going to drop points yesterday because they played each other. And that result did actually go for us, if we had been able to beat Cambridge, of course, on the basis. Do you know what? If you are watching on YouTube, let me see if I can make that table a bit larger. There we go. That should help. So Plymouth won. They're off in the distance. Now, this is where it all gets very frustrating. Sheffield Wednesday beat Wimbledon in the 92nd minute to move on to 72 points with 6 games remaining. Sunderland won in the, Craig, you said 95th. You can fact check us on that. 95th minute. They move on to 70 points with 6 games to go. Oxford obviously lost, so Ipswich didn't lose any ground on Oxford, but they are now not the team chasing. I dare say Wycombe fans might be feeling similar frustrations than we've been feeling recently, because I'm looking at their last 6 games and they've scored 14 points in the last 6. And they're 8th. They beat Doncaster yesterday quite handily. So, it is what it shows
now. But what it shows there, Ben, is for people that are watching on YouTube, is the number of the green in the top 8 and the orange in the bottom 8. There, you can just see that the table split, isn't it? It's half and half.
Craig, I'm not being pedantic. It's the lack of draws as well, and I think you mentioned it earlier in the pod. Look at someone like Oxford, who have lost 2 games in the last 6. They've still picked up 10 points in the other 4 games. It's just Look at the W column: Rotherham 24, Wigan 24, MK 23, Plymouth 23. And there are 7 teams with 20 wins or more. So I think you're totally right, Craig. It's winning games. Okay, you can lose games and get promoted. Oxford have already lost 11, the same amount as we have indeed. Portsmouth have lost the same amount as Oxford as well. But it's that 20 in the win column. And that leaves us 64 points, so 6 off. Everyone's got a game in hand. And,
you saw the highlights.
Right. Who's coming in first then? Go on, Dave.
Sorry, you saw the highlights on the EFL show last night. I saw the highlights, quite extended highlights, I think, of Plymouth and Oxford. And Oxford absolutely battered Plymouth, seemingly.
Did they?
On the highlights reel. And I mean, that's just it. You've got to win these games. Yeah, well, it is winning ugly. You've just got to. And they saw it out, ground it out, got a bit of luck, and scored a great winning goal. It's just, and as you said, looking at that again. Well, how did you describe it last week? More green than a Snoop Dogg green room.
Snoop Dogg great dressing room. Yeah. Sorry, Craig. You were going to come in, fella.
No, but I was just going to basically. That's all right. I'm going to back up what you were saying earlier, Ben, about wins. And Rotherham have played 2 fewer games than we have and won 7 games more.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's winning games, and they haven't been fantastic in all of those games. Admittedly, they were pretty fantastic when they played us, but they haven't been fantastic in all of those games. And it's about getting over and scoring. And you were talking about this last week, Ben, and asked me about what did McKenna mean when he was spoken about, horrible goals. Dave said that yesterday Cambridge's goal was a horrible goal. We don't score horrible goals, and that's our issue, is that when we play well, we don't score enough goals. So when we play badly, there's no way in the world we're going to be scoring enough goals. And it's playing badly and getting a scrappy goal and it hitting someone's backside or it coming from a set piece. That's where you get those. Turning
the disallowed goal. The disallowed goal. I'm totally not surprised that was disallowed. We just don't score goals. We just don't score goals like that. You're quite right.
And Craig, you've made a good point in all the red in the bottom half, talking about defeats. Okay, you've got a few teams going on surges, but Rotherham win those games against the teams in the bottom half. And I'm sure someone will check the numbers and correct me if I'm wrong, but you would assume, and there is a question about this, about our record against perhaps promoted teams and Cheltenham and Morecambe and Cambridge, etc. It's punishing those teams. Look, guys, we could talk for hours. Shall we get into the questions? I say, shall we get into the questions? We're going to do it because I'm just going to Bigfoot and press the button. We're rumbling on. Dave, this is Dave. It's going to talk to a Dave as well. I know the ITFC timeline is probably full of who played badly and who shouldn't ever play again for us. But we don't get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. The club and the team is in more. But that's more a comment. I think we'll agree with that. Here's an interesting one from John Dave. Take this one. 2 of our recent managers faced off, Hurst and Cook, yesterday. and Hurst won 4-1 with Grimsby. Away from home. Quick thoughts on the Ipswich manager derby.
Paul Cooker's doing a very similar job to Chesterfield, seemingly, as he did with us last season, isn't he?
Is there any chance he could quickly take over one of either Sheffield Wednesday,
Wickham,
Sunderland?
Sunderland.
You know my position. It's going to take a lot for me to turn on Paul Cook, but yes, I struggle with every passing week to defend.
All is not well there, is it? All is not well.
You mentioned Chris earlier. He's in the leveler group. Chris asks, in what ways can the club turn today's result into a positive thing? Is it just the slate being clean and move on?
Yeah, well, possibly, and it just probably highlights even more than what we spoke about, and what McKenna also spoke about himself in terms of being able to get results when you're not playing particularly well, and having different methods of scoring goals, because we're not always, as we spoke about last week, we're not always going to be scoring the perfect goal. So by virtue, you need to have other methods of scoring. And McKenna said himself, actually, in the fans forum, I think it was the fans forum, or it certainly was pre-match. Anyway, he was talking about set pieces, saying that I think it was I've got it here. It's 16 games that we haven't scored from one. Wow. And I would say it's borderline impossible to get out of this division with that record on set plays. And that's before yesterday. So it's 17 games. So he knows himself that what the issues are. And I think probably yesterday just highlighted what our deficiencies are. So from a positive perspective, you could you now know what to target probably.
I agree with that, but I think in fairness, probably for half of those games, I'd say, must be now, we haven't had Evans. And I think Evans was just starting to deliver, certainly free kicks. He was just starting to really, really deliver. We were frustrating with him at first, but I think he was just starting to really, really perform in that area. So to be fair, we haven't had him, but even so, it's appalling. It is appalling.
Can I push back on that, Dave? Surely there's a psychological side and expecting to score from set plays as well.
And it's not as if, we've got Burgess in the team now, Wolfenden's not small, especially particularly Burgess, for goodness sake. And it just doesn't, is it the quality of delivery? I don't know. I just don't, teams, or is it just teams just set up against us and win the first ball? We never seem to win the first ball from a corner. Never.
No. Never. And it can't, because you've got Selina taken, then you've got Chaplin taken.
These are technical players.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's still just a combination of everything. What I do admire is I admire the optimism of the North Stand, that whenever we get a corner up that end, everyone's cheering as if it's pretty much a nailed on goal.
This is one of the big misnomers, one of the many big misnomers of football fans, that a corner is actually a good chance. I think we discussed this on the pod a couple of years ago, and I think people would be very shocked to learn the actual percentage of set plays that do actually convert. That's not excusing not scoring one in 16 games or whatever. But look, as I say, it's the hope that kills you, and no one has the right to take hope away from a football fan getting excited when a corner gets
going back to Chris's question, and
good, Dave, well done.
We'll count. We all the Dyer interview recently. What good can come of it? Well, does this give the opportunity to blood the odd youngster between now at the end of the season?
There's a specific question on that, Dave. So we can talk about that in a sec. Let's just quickly get through as many of these. Mullet, has today shown just how hard we've had to work to keep up the great start? Is the honeymoon over? And it's high expectations from here on in. I'm not sure the expectations are overly high, are they, Craig? Especially after the output of the last 11 games and the fact that we finished 11th a couple of times.
I think people are just riding a crest of a wave and just grabbing onto whatever up curves they can see. As I said earlier, there's nearly 27,000 people there yesterday to watch.
Unbelievable.
To watch Cambridge United, and for a team that's ninth or perpetually forever stuck in ninth. It just does show you that what Evans got wrong, in terms of the potential is there. People are just gagging to go and watch. And we were talking about this actually before. And I'm sorry, I will get back to Mullet in a question in a sec. We were talking about this before in the fan zone about when McCarthy was in charge, and we were getting 10,000 people to watch a team that was mid-table in the Championship, and people were saying, well, yeah, but the football's not great. Well, it is sort of proving that point in that people will actually come and watch, an entire division below, pretty much, give or take 2 or 3 places, because the football is better and there's more of a case of optimism. There's just a bit of a feel-good factor around the club.
I think that it's not just it's the overall product.
There's a lot goes into that, Dave, isn't there?
It's just the overall product. It's just 10 times better. And what's the old adage? Build it and they will come. And I agree.
Just need the football on the pitch.
That's exactly what it is. It is. It's
but Mallet was saying about honeymoon periods being over and things like that. And I think, to be fair, yesterday was the first time that I've sort of questioned McKenna, and Dave said earlier about tinkering. Was he just being a bit too clever for his own?
Did he overthink it?
Yesterday? Yeah, very possibly.
Maybe he did.
The team selection wasn't right yesterday, was it?
No.
Dave, this is from Andrew, and it's a good point. I don't want Andrew to be right about this, but he is. How many points do you think we'll get against promoted teams next season? Do you think we can beat 4 out of a possible 24 this
Man,
Can I flip that question, Dave?
That is staggering.
Why has that happened? I know Morecambe was opening day of the season and Cheltenham away was in August, wasn't it? So maybe you can put that down to teething problems. But he's right, Andrew, in the question. That's atrociously bad, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, and certainly, you think Cheltenham at home and missed chances and stuff like that. It's fairly well documented. We just haven't scored enough. Well, created enough chances to score enough goals. We just haven't scored. If we look at the goals for column of the teams above us, we just haven't scored enough goals. So, unfortunately, Macaulay Bonne, after an absolute blistering start, has now scored 1 in 21. Is it now? 21 appearances. It might be now. I mean, that's a massive factor. But yeah, I mean, when I saw that stat, I couldn't believe it. But 4 out of 24 is just, well, and we spoke about it a few minutes ago. Look at the Rotherham, green W columns against those lower in the table teams, and we just haven't, for one reason or another. We haven't. I mean, early season, we were at. Okay, we can put Burton in that category, but Cheltenham, we were 1 up and got done by the long throw a couple of times, didn't we? You wouldn't see that necessarily happening now. Just frustrating. I mean, Morecambe away, just incredibly frustrating. Yeah.
Although I would just say just to slightly take the edge off it is that you're not doing as well against promoted teams, but by virtue of them being promoted teams, they are better. They're on a roll. They've got a bit of momentum behind them.
Yeah, bring it in.
You want to see what you're like against the team. They're probably better than the teams that finished 18th, 19th, 20th, aren't they?
Maybe
in this division. You got me, because they're coming on a roll and got a bit.
I was going to say, look at these teams. They're all going to pretty much stay up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all good. Cheltenham played Morecambe yesterday. It was 12th against 13th, wasn't it?
Cheltenham, Morecambe, obviously Cambridge. They're all going to stay up comfortably.
Right, let's keep this moving, guys. Craig, Dave Strang. Now, how can I describe the tone of Dave's questions often when they come in? Well, look, we'll read it out in the interests of balance. It's extremely likely we'll be in Division 3 again next season. League One, the third tier, we get it.
Old money.
Which player do you think will be the first to agitate for a move to a championship club? You can answer that nice and quickly, Craig, if you want.
Yeah, I don't know really. Well, it's got to be a player that's
good.
I don't know if anything would they? I don't know. They all seem a pretty happy bunch, to be fair, and in the main, they seem to be enjoying playing the football and enjoying playing under the manager. It may be someone like Chaplin, who starts a lot of games on the bench, who doesn't get enough game time at his age. Yeah, and at his age, he wants to be playing, and he probably could get himself a championship gig without too much. You've got to probably think which of those players would have championship interest. And he probably
very, very, very deftly done, because agitating, quote, and that's Dave's words in the question, not ours, would be a sensible thing to do if you felt you were a championship player and you weren't on the bench. We will move on. Dave, this is from Chris. I think it parlays into something you were saying earlier. Would this team have got into the playoffs had Lee Evans been available over the past few weeks? Obviously, it was always a massively tall order to get into the playoffs.
No, it was. Look, who's to say that? But him and Morsey were just starting to flourish, weren't they? I really do. We all were, I think, fairly critical of Evans, up to that point. But I think with the change in formation in the back three, and the license perhaps for Morsey to to advance further. Yeah, I think he was really grown into that role. And I thought, the confidence then I thought showed in his set plays, which were becoming much better delivery. So yeah, I think he has been a miss. But as we all said, look, it was such a tall order. The run was such a tall order. So it possibly would have certainly helped. But whether it had got us where we needed to be or not, ultimately, who can say?
The thing is,
sorry, Craig.
It's been a miss.
Through now, we're going so long on these questions. In an attempt to speed you two up, it's going to be a yes or a no because we've got a list on these ones. So one word answer, please, and I will be on the mute button here. This is FPL Tractor. We'll go for Craig. You do all of them first, okay? Which experiments would the learned panel? There we go. Consider over the last few games. Right. Yes or no, Craig? Baggett?
Yes.
Humphreys?
Yes.
Simpson?
Yes.
4 at the back?
We were yesterday anyway.
Yeah, right. Aluko, Selena, Chaplin, front 3?
Yeah.
A few games for KVY, Penny, Elmis, Piggott?
Oh. Yeah. Yes. No. Elmis, yes, no.
Yes, McKenna to urinate in all 4 corners of the ground.
I saw that. Yeah. Well, I don't think we've got much of a curse on us. We just need honing. That's all we just need.
Just the odd 20 years worth. Dave, same questions. Baggett.
Yes.
Humphreys.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Proper back 4.
Experiment. Oh, yes.
Aluko, Selena, Chapman, front 3.
Yeah.
A few games for KVY, Penny, Elmis, Piggott.
Yes.
And
no. Yes.
No. See, I tried to speed it up, and it's been impossible for anyone to keep up with. Now we apologise, listeners. That I'll take the L on that one. And do you do you endorse managers urinating near the ground?
Absolutely.
The ground?
Absolutely.
I think
everywhere.
if he's doing a good job, he should be able to urinate anywhere.
Where he wants. In the boardroom.
During the game.
Everywhere.
Wasn't there a player, Neil Ruddock, just pulled his shorts to the side and did a pee in the goal mouth?
Regularly. I think he used to pee up centre forward. I think he used to pee up centre forwards' backs, didn't he?
That's disgusting. We apologise to
allegedly.
Neil
Sorry, allegedly.
And Timothy, whose questions are not going to get read out. That's not my fault. Okay, these boys just went into such detail and gave such good value to all the other questions that we went a little bit long on that segment. So we've got to stop there. Look, I'm going to bring up the League One fixtures because there's some catch up on Tuesday. Look at this, Craig. MK, a home game against Crewe. Oxford go away to Morecambe. Wickham away at Cambridge. Maybe Wickham have got a bit more durability than we have in that regard. Wigan at home to Accrington. Bolton and Pompey play each other, but Craig, would you be in any way surprised if a lot of those teams I just mentioned scored 3 points on Tuesday night?
No, this could be the final death knell, couldn't it? On
the final nail.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But the final farewell tour of this.
Do you know what? It probably won't. Do you know what? It probably won't. And on Wednesday, we'll be clinging to these grains of hope.
Well,
we win 5 games. We're there.
Given I'm going to Shrewsbury at the weekend, I wouldn't mind something riding on it rather than just travelling across the country for the sheer hell of it.
And you're right. And the penultimate, that Wigan home game is going to be, I say, sort of another massive day. It's a ticket promotion. It's Easter. No, it's the school holidays, and it's Tuesday after Easter Monday, so it's going to be another bumper crowd for the last evening game as well. And
to be fair, guys,
chances are there's going to be nothing on it, is there?
Jumping off the page at me there, Oxford versus Sunderland at the weekend. So one of them is going to drop some points. But then I just get so depressed reading these. Craig keeps telling me about the form of these teams, and you see, right, MK are going to Wimbledon, Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton. Okay,
tell you what,
that's a fly in the ointment game. Plymouth will beat Burton, won't they? Pompey will beat Cheltenham, won't they? Who else have we got down there? Wigan away at Lincoln, Wickham at Gillingham. Okay, Neil Harris is doing a turn. Let me finish, Dave. Oxford play Sunderland. That's the big one. Rotherham are away in the distance. So I don't know. Dave?
Realistically, we're looking at Wickham, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday, realistically, for one place. That's it. Forget the others. They're gone. Forget the others. If there is going to be any grain of hope after midweek.
He's turning, Craig. He's turning.
Well, I'm not. Of course I'm not. But if there is going to be, but
He's booking his ticket for Shrewsbury as we speak.
There you go. Yeah. If there is going to be any grain of hope, then there's got to be a drastic loss of form by, or not even one, each of those three. And unlikely. But those games the weekend, you're right. They could easily, look, all those could be defeated. We beat Shrewsbury and a glimmer of hope.
It only takes one of Oxford and Wycombe to win midweek, and then we're like 8 points behind.
Yeah,
six, aren't we?
Buckered, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Shrewsbury, Craig, have actually been quite good recently. They won 3 on the bounce, and look, MK are beating everybody at the moment, and they beat them yesterday. So, looking forward to that one at the weekend.
I am actually. Yeah, they're not in any danger of going down. They're at home, as you say. They're in decent form, and we've been playing better against the teams that have been in decent form. Yeah, we've come across quite a few of them recently and put them away really. So, yeah, they've got 12, 13 points clear of relegation. So they're safely ensconced in mid-table. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it.
I actually apologise there. Did I somehow overlook Oxford? Did I? Oxford. How many points have Oxford got? Are they 72 or lower than that?
69.
Oh, sorry, Oxford. Sorry,
90.
Oxford. Sorry,
Oxford got 90.
Sorry,
got about 97. Rotherham got 153.
I've got to throw Oxford in my equation.
MK is shaping up for 200, and we're stuck here in.
I somehow forgot Oxford in that equation. Oh crap! Yeah. No hope.
No. Oh, dearie me. Well, there you go. Dave, who was it who said the Gay Meadow is shaking? Was that David Coleman? That's when I think of Shrewsbury. I think of that FA Cup upset.
We played them 3 times in about 4 seasons, didn't we, at Gay Meadow? Yeah. I went to the first game. Yeah, when Burley got injured. Yeah, great old ground. Great old ground.
Not there anymore.
Sadly,
as they would say in Spinal Tap, don't look for it. It's not there anymore. And that kind of sums up our playoff chances, doesn't it? Don't look for them. They're not there. They're not there anymore. Guys, please, and this is not a party political broadcast, do check out that Mark Ashton interview. So good. So open. We're really, really proud of it. And the fact that the CEO is speaking to us is absolutely fantastic. We are going to be back. Normal routine. We'll be back midweek for the live stream. Do get involved in that. You must subscribe on YouTube though, and you can go and have your say in the chat as we go. Craig, last words from you?
No, not much really. Just enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone, and let's just not look at any results during the week. Just have a nice few last games of the season. Take them for what they are.
Grandad Dave?
A couple of things. Just hi to Mike Gooding, who I know travels from a fair distance. I think Surrey saw him in the Greyhound yesterday, so great to see him there yesterday.
You're coming over such a drinker, Dave.
Hang on, wait, and one further thing we should give a shout. Absolutely massive game for the ladies this afternoon at home to Southampton. Massive game.
And Rich will be across that for us.
Yeah, Rich will be across. I'm hoping to get across there via a food delivery to Felixstowe, not surprisingly. So, looking forward to that. And that is I would say must-win game. Yeah, a massive game in the whole scheme of things in the season.
So I think I should probably sing to finish, shouldn't I? Should I do the little bridge? When I can't sleep at night without holding you tight, girl, each time I try, I just break down and cry. I never known what these lyrics were. Pain in my head, I would rather be dead, spinning around and around.
I feel quite emotional.
Although we've come. I think it's because Craig went a bit falsetto in a couple of his answers recently. I thought I'd do that all up there. Sorry, everyone, for that. But there you go. You can clip that out if you want. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the Blue Monday podcast, endorsed by Favourite Chicken and Boys to Men.